to get us started. Mr. Albus, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you to all of our witnesses for being here today. First, I'll start with MLA Bangu. MLA, thank you very much for your public service. I certainly appreciate you making time for our committee. I would like just to first start asking you about your history. I understand that you spent a long time in heavy trucking, and your family has even longer. Could you just give us a little background as to your experience?
Thank you. So yes, I was involved in trucking before I got in politics in the gravel trucking industry, doing a lot of road work, and I have seen this be an issue firsthand. And there's a lot of issues that arise with this. There's safety concerns. There's obviously the tax that's not getting filtered down, taxpayers. And as the other member here that's was saying that there isn't a high scale of this happening and there aren't companies that actually want this addressed. That is false. I worked in a smaller scale business. My family has been doing it in the trucking industry for a while, and this has been a constant occurrence. What a lot of people want to get addressed because it leads to lower rates. It gives people advantage of getting in there and cutting the rates. The market's always stagnant. Yes, truckers are at a big disadvantage. It's really tough, tight margins, and this just adds to that burden. And that's where I feel that we need to have this addressed completely, because businesses come to me every single day, and especially when I was a transportation critic, and they bring up these concerns time and time again. There's ways that temporary foreign workers have came in and they'll get an incorporated company, and next thing you know, they're taking loads, they're not even checking them, they're literally being extorted for work. It's really sad to see this happen. And when I have numerous calls from truckers directly involved in this, it's really concerning. And I really thank you for having me here to speak on this very important issue.
Well, and it is important. It is affecting British Columbians and Canadians. There's many that have seen where families have their lives have been shattered, and not to say that there's also the issue that you've been talking about here today, where people aren't paying their taxes. I just want to really hone in, though, on your comments around the temporary foreign worker program, because we've heard that in central Canada. Could you please just elaborate a little bit more about the temporary foreign worker program and the model that's being done, and it sounds like the same kind of exploitive behaviors?
So right now what happens, the temporary foreign worker comes in, a company gets an LMI, they'll start driving for them. Later on, they'll find a way to get them a permanent residency. When they get them the permanent residency, they're like, hey, I got you a permanent residency. Now, why don't you get incorporated and we'll set up a company and I'll just pay you a flat fee. You'll run it like your own business. And the thing is, a lot of the temporary foreign newcomers, they get exploited. They get taken advantage of. There is no education concept of it to actually teach them how the business process works. How do you set up a proper business, collect tax? And another issue they end up running into is when they want to get a finance or a mortgage, buy a vehicle, they can't show the income and they don't qualify that way. And that's when the real wake-up call happens.
So we've heard earlier from our other witnesses that some drivers will incorporate for autonomy or for family time or control of the routes. But you're not talking about independent contractors that are doing bona fide operations as an incorporated company. You're talking about people that are being pushed into these situations and have none of those things. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. And to say that they get to control what the times and everything, a lot of companies do run on that. You give them your availability and they'll schedule you accordingly. This isn't way back 20, 30 years as driving companies. We've adapted. We want people. We realize there's a family aspect of it. There will be days they need off. We work with our employees all the time. And that is a very important part of this. So if you go the other route and do it through the incorporated way, what happens if you get an injury? Where do you go? What are the processes? This is what's not being told to a lot of the temporary foreign workers and people who get permanent residency and go on this way of doing business. It's setting them up for failure.
when someone pushes someone into this kind of situation, you said that they'll say, okay, I'm going to set you up with a truck. Oftentimes the truck isn't safe. They don't know, like you said, there's an education gap of what they're getting into with the liabilities that truck may have. In some cases, I've heard from truckers in Quebec where they don't even have insurance. So what kind of further problems can someone find themselves into when they're in this kind of situation?
Well, it's like you said, if there's ever an accident, where do you actually go? Where is the liability on this? And also, if it's really concerning, though, to me, that there is no actual way of having some sort of procedure that protects these drivers, their education process or something. Because I've seen this time and time after again, drivers being exploited. And when they push back, the problem is they don't want to get vocal about it because they're afraid. Some people will hold literally deportation over their head. And you tell me, if you're trying to put family money on the table for your family and kids, you're stuck in a very terrible situation. This has to be addressed.
Just to finish off, you've had the benefit of working in an industry that you said has very tight margins, so is your family. So would you constitute this as being legitimate competition, or is it undermining the whole industry with an unsafe business model?
This has been undermining the industry. This is why you see stagnant trucking rates and truckers always complaining about why the industry is in a complete wreck and it's not profitable anymore. And if it's not profitable here, of course you're going to go down this model of temporary foreign workers where you're bringing in people, literally exploiting them to do a job that Canadians wouldn't even want to do. And that is completely unacceptable.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bangu, and thank you, Mr. Albus. Next, we'll go to Mr. Gahir. Mr. Gahir, the floor is yours. You have 6 minutes, sir.
Great. Thank you, Chair, and thank you to the witnesses as well for appearing before the committee. This issue is very important to me for several reasons. One is that my riding of Mississauga-Malton is a transport hub. It includes Pearson Airport. It has a big South Asian population. The Globe reported a couple of years ago that 1 in 5 drivers in Canada is South Asian. That number is probably even higher for Ontario. A lot of those companies, those carriers, call my riding home. And a lot of those drivers are actually in my riding as well. So again, this issue is very important. I wanted to talk about incorporation generally and talk about incorporation as a lawful and widely used model across